Yeah, well, to me, email is the plumbing of the web, right? So no matter what platform that you're going to be engaged on, email will always be there. Emily Ross from Inkfine actually put it very eloquently, I thought, where she said that just because you don't use your bias to confuse where your customers might be. So, for example, if you don't like being on Facebook or Instagram, that doesn't mean your customers are on. So you need to focus on that. So you have to pay attention to all of these platforms. And Colin Lewis, actually, who's the CMO of OpenJaw and the columnist with Marketing Week, kind of stole my show yesterday, unfortunately. Well, no, not unfortunately, but his line was that email is the most powerful tool in the world. I was kind of delighted to hear that. And then he went on to say that if you don't have a subscriber list, then you don't know what you're doing. So he kind of said everything I needed to say, because he explained that in a prior job, the way they made payroll was by pressing the send button, and so it definitely drives revenue. And in fact, I used that example, a lesser one. We have a lot of hotels using our product, and last couple of weeks ago, we had a hotel with an issue wanting to put in an offer or something in their campaign, and the support team got it sorted out. And we got a very nice email back, and she said that after that campaign we got 5 bookings. To me, that's ROI. The litmus research guys will tell you that ROI is 42 to 1. That's great. I'm a statistics guy. I get what that is, but it's hard to put your finger on what that is. But real feedback like that, people know that when they do this properly, they get the return. And Mixed Garage are a great example. I mean, they use the platform with us, and it's a key part of their revenue. So email is back, and if you look up journalists like Casey Newton on Twitter, he's got a whole thing going on right now on how he really loves email. So maybe follow him and see what he has to say on it as well.
What is it, in your opinion, Chris, about email marketing when done right and done properly? What is it that makes it so effective?
Well, it's a direct connection between you and the brand as a consumer, and if that's something that you've engaged with and wanted and consented to, there's no gatekeepers, there's no algorithm in the way. So with other platforms, they kind of gate the content, so that's why it's effective. But it's also kind of semi-offline, if I can put it like that. So, it's okay if you send me an email and it takes me 3 days to respond. You're not going to be put out, right? Whereas if you WhatsApp me and I don't get back to you until tomorrow, you say, "Is Chris okay?" There's that kind of a latency thing. So I think what that means then is I can respond in my own time. I don't, just because I've messaged you, that I have that pressing need to answer you back. And I think that's certainly Casey Newton's point on the whole thing. And Colin also was mentioning that we share the same first slide in our presentation, which was a quote from Sheryl Sandberg, COO of Facebook, 10 years ago at a Nielsen conference, where she said email is probably going away. A lot of people said that she didn't say email is dead. She said email is probably going away, and that kind of kicked off a tweet storm at the time that said, teens don't do Twitter, so Twitter is going away. Teens don't drink red wine, so red wine is going away. Because she was saying this in the context of whatever teens are doing now is an indicator of what's going to happen in the future, and that's not true. Because what Damien Mully actually posted out a very nice tweet showing how the demographics of Facebook are changing, and that it wasn't always the market that you think it is. So absolutely fine, use these platforms as you need them, but make sure you understand who's on there. So for example, and a good story I gave was I was on the bus home from the airport. It's a true story. The other week, and 4 ladies hopped on the bus. They were in their 70s and they were full of crack. They were after a weekend and somewhere away. One of them sat beside me and said, so the entire bus heard this now, obviously, because they were high as kites. And she said, Maura, we're setting up our Instagram account, and what's the password? And she said, it's N with a capital, and they were spelling it out. And the whole bus knew their password, and I was splitting the whole bus was roaring laughing at this. But they were creating a share. I don't have an Instagram account. I don't know, but somehow they were trying to create a shared Facebook account, or shared Instagram account that they were all on. And so making the presumption about who is on the platform in this case would have been untrue. So again, it's the old story, isn't it? Know where your audience is. So like the teenager on TikTok now, probably needed an email address to register for that. But when he's 24, he'll still have the email address, but will he be on TikTok? Maybe not.